today we're going to talk about something that I have been asked time and time again. Why did I choose research in my gap years? Reason number one on why I would even consider research is I'm actually curious about most things. Like when it comes to the human body and disease, I'm actually very curious on why things happen the way that they do. Sometimes it's not just about like treating them, but understanding like what is actually happening in the body during these processes. Things like why do they start, where do they start, can we intervene early, and what is the most likely pathway for treatment. Research gives me the space to lean into all of that. Another thing is it has perks. I have access to every journal available possible. So as somebody who is actually interested in rheumatology, and internal medicine journals are pricey, I do get them for free. And I actually enjoy reading the journals every month. I'm actually such a nerd. I can't believe I just said that. I'm such a nerd. I actually enjoy reading the journals every month. So it's like I get to peek behind that little curtain before I step into medical school or residency or fellowship. Reason number two is I build or hone in on a lot of skills that I either already have or didn't know that I have and get to learn about. Research has really taught me patience. I thought I had patience when I was working in primary care or in pediatrics, having patience with the parents and people that don't vaccinate their children and knowing self-control, and then having patience when dealing with non-compliant patients that just did not want to take their medicine even though they knew that it was what was best for them. I thought I had patience then. Oh no. No. The patience that I have with people is completely different than the patience I have with my experiments. Things go wrong all the time. And the thing about science, and basic science at that, is you think you know all the stuff. You got the formulas. How can it go wrong? Girl, I don't know. But it does. And it does often. In fact, it did this week. And what happens? You got to do everything all over again. Experiments don't go the way you want. Data doesn't add up. Your PI is not happy. You're not happy. The mice aren't happy. Nobody around here is happy when things go wrong. But you have to rebuild, learn, fix it, and overall you really just have to come in the next day, have the same attitude, and try to go at it again. Reason number three should be the absolute most obvious. I need to strengthen my application. Girl, let's be for real. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. Would I have signed on to this job if I was not promised a paper? I don't know. Does a paper make me look better when it comes to med school applications? Yeah. It was a deciding factor. I gave my boss my timeline and when I wanted to apply. That timeline still applies. And guess what? Now I'm writing my first author paper. I'm in the works of having a published co-author paper. Hey, I'm not complaining about it, but let's be for real. It was to strengthen my application. Med schools love to see that you're engaged in research, especially if you're engaged in research for a long time. They are aware of how tedious basic science research can be. And they know that if you stuck it out for a long time, you are more likely to stick out med school and fellowship and residency and all the things that come with being a medical doctor. It essentially just shows your tenacity and your commitment to see things through. Beyond like my personal resume, it literally slowed me down. I mean, as a pre-med and then as a non-traditional pre-med, I was feeling like I was behind all the time, and feeling like that and feeling depleted like that doesn't leave a lot of space for personal growth. It gave me the time to grow as a person, to build discipline, and to understand like why I want to be a doctor. And I feel like because of that, my gap years weren't wasted. So if you're thinking about research before med school, my advice is to just go for it. A couple tips that I will give if you are applying for research either in your gap year, or maybe you want to do research before you do a PhD. I don't know, girl. If you just want to do research and you like, hey, I like bench work. Couple little things that I would give advice on. One, make sure your resume and your CV is updated. That should be first, of course, at all times. Any little thing that you have done, if you've done a poster and the only people that seen it was your biology teacher and your classmates that you did it with, put that on your CV. These PIs need to know, hey, this person, one, can commit to doing a poster. They have the education or the background in whatever field that we are researching in. If it's in the biological space, if it's in the engineering space, they need to know that you have the ability, or you at least have the knowledge to do what they are asking you to do. Number two, girl, I just put up a 1 for 2. Number two, apply wide. What I will say, pre-NIH cuts, now that's gonna go into tip number 3, but pre-NIH cuts, if I was in Florida and I applied up here in Nashville or in Knoxville for a research position, they would fly me up here to tour the lab and to do my interview. Usually there is a minimum of 2 interview processes, where you would have a virtual interview where you're probably just talking with just the PI or just the lab manager, and then you usually come to visit the lab and they show you the lab, show you things that they study, and you get to meet the lab members. If I had known that I could apply to labs that weren't necessarily in driving distance of me, and that I could have been flown to tour a lab and given assistance to move into an apartment and start a job in a lab, when I was in Florida, instead of working in secondary care, I would have been in somebody's lab. Yeah. I wish I would have known that. Which brings me into tip number 3. Make sure you research your lab. You need to know if they have funding. And in this day and age, that is where we are. You need to know if they have funding. And that should be one of the questions that you ask first. On top of researching the lab or the institution, you need to research your PI or whoever's lab you're applying to. Knowing what type of research they do, I'm telling you, PIs are known to have egos. When you interview, stroke that ego. Tell them that you love their research. Tell them that you've looked into their research. Ask them questions about their research. Ask them questions about what it is that they want you to do. Do they want you to do cell work? Do they want you to do animal work? What type do they want you to do? Data analysis. What type of research are they looking for you to do? Are they looking for you to do all of that? How many members of the lab is it? Do everybody have something that they specialize in? Do you need someone to specialize in something? These are questions that you need to ask in your interview, but you would only know to ask those questions if you researched the lab. So do that. Fourth and finally, I'm going to say, be honest. If you know that you are applying to a lab, or you know that you want to do research and your biggest goal is to get a paper out, let them know that. If you know that you're applying to med school the next year and they really just have you for just a year, let them know that. The last thing you want to do is be in a lab and you're in that lab in December knowing that you are applying to med school and the next year you're going to be gone. Now you left your PI high and dry. You're less likely to get a decent letter of recommendation, or you're less likely to come back or have those connections. So please be honest. It is okay if you know that, hey, I need a job for 6 months. I want to get my feet wet in basic science research, or I want to do clinical research. Just let them know that. I once recommended a person to apply to a lab of a new PI who just got started. He literally just got the lab, just got everything in there, and finally got his funding to come through. And they said in their interview, yeah, I want to apply to med school this year. Hello? Am I confused? I could have sworn I told you that he's new, just started his lab, and you think, hey, yeah, I'm just going to be here for a year. And you think he's going to hire you? No. He just got started. This is something, there is a PI on my floor that actually does hire people knowing that they're only going to be there a year, 6 months. But somebody that just started their lab and needs to grow their lab and actually do the research and get more funding, get more papers. And in a year, did you think that you were just going to have a paper knowing that this guy just started the lab? You're not getting a paper this year. There has to be research first. There has to be people to do the research first. And from that point on, I did not recommend anybody else. You're not going to embarrass me. But seriously, just be upfront. Let them know. Because 9 times out of 10, you being truthful is going to matter more to them than you beating around the bush. So research might not look like a fast track. It kind of looks like something to slow you down. But in that process, it really does help you with building the tenacity to do medical school and fellowship and residency and all of the things that come with medicine. So let me know in the comments, have you considered research? Is it something that you might consider? Are you currently in research? Let me know, girl. And what do y'all research? Where you at? Let me know. Or what's like one thing that you've learned in your gap years? Anyways, that's all that I have. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.